Ms. Wenzel. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning, Chair.
Are you ready?
Yes, I am ready, Chair.
Please give me an outline of what this witness will testify about. I've had a look at the affidavit, and then let's take it from there.
Yes.
Yeah.
Chair, the next witness is Colonel van Loggerenberg, and he is going to testify about his role in the investigation of the Pandey matter, and he is also going to testify as to how that investigation was stopped and the blocks put in their way as to continue with his investigation.
And the Amigos matter.
He's not going to testify with regard to the Amigos matter.
Or is that with another witness?
Yes, he will testify only the Pandey matter. Yes.
Oh, I think it's another other witness who refers to both the Pandey matter and the Amigos matter.
Yes. Mr. Trevor White is a forensic investigator, and he will testify about both matters.
Is he the next witness?
No,
Who is the next witness after this witness?
The next witness is General Labia.
Yeah.
And
my recollection when I read the statement suggested, my impression was that we might not take more than 3 hours with this witness. Is that too optimistic?
I think that is too optimistic, Chair.
Yes.
I think it will take a little bit longer. I expect it to be most of today with this witness.
Yeah. Well, what I want, a lot of things won't be controversial, I think, that he will be testifying about.
Yes.
I want us to move fast on issues that are not controversial.
Yes.
I don't know whether it's this witness or another witness where I realized that out of everything said in the affidavit, there could only be one that could possibly be controversial. The rest couldn't be disputed by anybody because they are very much about correspondence and about things for which there seems to be documented proof or just procedural issues on investigations. So the bottom line is that we must do justice to every witness's evidence, but we do need to try and move with speed. We don't have all the time. So do your best in regard to making sure we move with speed. Things that are unlikely to be undisputed, let's not stay too long on them. But nevertheless, let's do justice to the evidence.
Yes.
Okay, all right. Are you ready that the witness be sworn?
Thank you.
Yeah, okay. Please administer the oath or affirmation.
Please state your full names for the record.
Johannes van Loggerenberg.
Do you have any objection to taking the prescribed oath?
No.
Do you find the code to be binding on your conscience?
That's right.
Do you swear that the evidence will give will be the truth, the whole truth and nothing but the truth? If so, please raise your right hand and say, "So help me God."
So help me God.
Thank you. Ms. Wenzel, you may
Thank
proceed.
you, Chair. Colonel van Loggerenberg, have you deposed to an affidavit which you have submitted to the Commission.
That is correct, Chair.
And the affidavit in front of you, is that your affidavit? And if you look at page 18,
Shouldn't we admit this exhibit first?
yes.
Because
Yes.
I don't think it's been admitted
No,
before.
I was going to do it afterwards, but you're correct, I should do it before. If I might place this exhibit into evidence, Chair, it has been marked, subject to your approval, Exhibit RR1.
Yes, the affidavit of Mr. Johannes van Loggerenberg, together with the annexures to his affidavit contained in the Liver Act file, will be marked Exhibit RR1. Yeah,
Thank you.
okay.
Colonel van Loggerenberg, the affidavit in front of you, is that your affidavit? And on page 18, is that your signature?
That is correct, Chair.
And are you satisfied that the contents of the affidavit are true and correct?
That is correct, Chair.
Colonel van Loggerenberg, could you please tell the Chair about your history in the South African Police Services?
Chair, I joined the South African Police Service in 1975. I left again in 1977 and I rejoined in 1982. Up until the late 80s, when I was at the commercial branch. During that period, I was the fraud staff, I was at the commercial branch. And then after that, I went to the Youth Commission, to Judge Heath, and I worked there for 18 months. And then I came back to the Department of Justice, Directorate of Serious Economic Offences, which opened in KwaZulu-Natal. And I started there, and then it became the Scorpions, and then up until the Scorpions were closed and we pushed back to the police force. And I retired in 2015, and about 35 years experience in commercial investigation.
Okay, thank you. You might wish to raise your voice a little bit when you speak so I can hear you clearly.
Okay, I'll try, Chair.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Colonel van Loggerenberg, how did you come to be involved in the criminal case involving Mr. Toshin Pandey?
Chair, Brigadier Kemp, who was the provincial financial head of KwaZulu-Natal, came across irregularities in his guard of accommodation, and he submitted an interim report to.
I'm sorry, just repeat who was the financial head?
It's Brigadier Kemp.
Brigadier
Lawrence
Kemp. Yes, okay,
yes.
Lawrence Charles Kemp.
Kemp, that's right.
Yes, okay. He was the financial head.
Of provincial KwaZulu-Natal.
Yes, okay, all right.
And then he put all his findings in a report, and he handed his report to the provincial commissioner. At that time it was Lieutenant General Nkubeni. We gave it to General Boyson. There's other generals who he also gave it to. And then he asked General Boyson to look into the matter. Then General Boyson handed the report over to Brigadier Latagan, which in turn handed the report over to Colonel Subramani Wasserman, who was the first investigating officer in this matter. It was an inquiry at first, and then 2 or 3 months after he started the inquiry.
I'm sorry, when you say it was an inquiry first,
we didn't open the case number immediately.
you just talked to find out
Just
certain
find out more
information.
evidence, what is
Okay.
alleged, to get more evidence.
Yes, okay.
And then after about 2 or 3 months, we heard Colonel Wasserman Subramani resign. Then I took over the matter.
So before Colonel Subramani resigned, was it the two of you and Colonel Subramani, who were tasked with doing the inquiry that you were talking about?
That is correct, Chair.
Yes, okay.
Yes.
So he resigned and then you took over?
I took over, Chair, and then also I got into the team. Colonel S.Y. Governor and Colonel Philip Herbst, the initial investigators on the investigation. We started investigating the matter and the allegations made by Brigadier Kemp in his report, and to our knowledge, it was a cut and clear case of corruption and fraud after we obtained some evidence from Financial Office. We then opened up a case. That's Durban Central Case 781. And then we started issuing banks, subpoenas for banks and do the ground investigations. And then
Maybe just to help everyone understand, at that stage, this appeared to be a case of corruption relating to what and involving whom at that stage?
Jay, it appeared that the corruption was that police members at supply chain management, Colonel Naveen Madhu and Captain Narayan Prasad, were used by businessman Toshan Pandey to acquire tenders in respect of accommodating police members and also for the 2010 Soccer World Cup. We did some preliminary inquiries at hotels and bed and breakfast places, and then we noticed that the prices charged by Toshan Pandey's companies and the price that BNB actually charged Toshan Pandey's company is 200 to 400% more than what the police actually paid for the stuff. And then from that we started a full investigation onto this matter.
At this stage, you said it was now yourself and who?
Myself, Colonel S.Y. Governor,
Yes,
and Colonel Philip Herbst,
yes, the three of you
the three of us. Yes.
doing the investigation.
Yes.
Okay. And to whom were you reporting at that stage in terms of the investigation?
At that stage, Chair, we were reporting to General Boyson,
Okay.
but I must also inform you, Chair, that we at that stage were at the Anti-Corruption Task Team, ACTT. And the head of the, local head of the provincial, from the ACTT was Colonel Jones.
Okay, you may continue.
Thank you. Colonel van Loggerenberg, you've said that 4 cases were registered which were linked to this investigation. Could you give the chair an outline of each of the cases and explain your involvement? So if we could start with Durban Central Case 781, who was the investigator in that case?
Chair, I was the main investigator, the project manager of this case. And in this case, when we fully started investigating the matter, we saw that Colonel Colonel Madhu was responsible to obtain accommodation for members of the police force in respect of the 2010 Soccer World Cup. And we started digging into that, and what we discovered that province had meetings for different sections which was required for the 2010 Soccer World Cup. And there was a meeting that was known as the Section 4 meeting. That was for the acquisition of the goods and accommodation for the Soccer World Cup. And the chair of that commission, Section 4, was a Brigadier Governor from Province Head Office. What we found in the minutes of every meeting is that Colonel Madhu was responsible to acquire accommodation for the members. But these meetings started 12, 15 months before the 2010 Soccer World Cup. They were preparing now for the Soccer World Cup. And at the end of the day, as the meetings progressed and it came to number 99, at every meeting, Colonel Madhu had an excuse that he could not get any joy from head office to assist in obtaining this accommodation. But as far as what we could gather, that each province was responsible and they could approve the accommodation for the police members in their province. And then we discovered that at number 99, Colonel Madhu used Regulation 16, Chair, I'm not sure if it's 16A4 or 1614, from the Treasury Act, that he can nominate suppliers without proper tenders and things like that. What he then did is, he supplied a memo to head office stating that he's got these companies, Gold Coast Trading, and he mentioned the other few companies, that can supply accommodation for the police members that is required for the Soccer World Cup. It's going to start in a couple of days. And they actually said, okay, fine, you can go ahead. But if you look at what supply chain did, Colonel Madhu did, now with Colonel Madhu, there was another captain, Narayan Prasad, working with Colonel Madhu. They in advance issued tenders to B&Bs and hotels in KZN for the accommodation of the members for the 2018 Soccer World Cup. There was a hotel that the police always use in KZN, it's Coastlands. It's called the Coastlands Hotel. And we approached them, we approached all the others, and they said, yes, they did get tender documents. They did tender, they sent the tenders back. But nothing happened when they sent these tenders back to supply chain management to Captain Narayan Prasad. And at the end of the day, it was discovered that although they received these tenders, they just kept them under the carpet. And they didn't mention anything to the committee or to anybody. We've received tenders, but we must push through this emergency application for the accommodation to be approved by supply chain management.
And
So I'm sorry. So did you form the view that there was an illegitimate reason for not telling anybody about this, so that ultimately they would say this was an emergency, so we were justified in not going out to tender?
Chair, during our investigation, at the end of the day, we could prove that Colonel Madhu and Captain Narayan Prasad deliberately kept that information from the police. Because if you can see, Toshan Pandey purchased them some goods, he sent them on holidays, and he wined and dined them, and they got something for the favors that they did to Toshan Pandey. And you could see that in the minutes of the meetings. I mean, I can also say that during our investigation at the head office, supply chain, we came across a letter where Toshan Pandey faxed to our supply chain department in Pretoria, where at the time Madhu wrote that letter requesting this company to be appointed at number 99 in terms of this regulation, that Toshan Pandey, in a fax, quoted to our head office that he's got 20 hotels booked for members at that point in time. But when we actually physically did the investigation, he never had one room from any hotel or any B&B for any member. So that was a blatant lie. And once it was approved by the office, then we heard from the B&Bs and the hotels that we approached that no, Toshan Pandey came around and okay, it was, you know, they were cut out of the deal, but they got to make best of it. And eventually they gave him some business. And that is the, now it ended up that Toshan Pandey got the contract for accommodation.
Colonel, could you tell the chair, did this Coastland Hotel that you referred to, did they respond to the tender?
Yes, Chair, I personally went and saw them. I saw the director. They showed me the tenders that they received. They showed me the tenders that they forwarded to supply chain management. And yes, they did respond to the tenders they received and actually, in fact, sent it back to Captain Narayan Prasad.
And were they ultimately used to provide accommodation?
Yes, Toshan Pandey actually used them to provide accommodation for the police.
And what was the difference between the tender, the invoices he charged the police for accommodation at this hotel and the tender that had been provided?
See, what Toshan Pandey did is if the hotel or the B&B asked him, I'll quote, I'll give you an example, 1,000 rand a room for 2 members, he would charge the police 2,000 rand a room. And that is what he did with all the accommodation, sometimes more than double. sometimes 400% more than the actual price of the room. He charged the police. And those invoices were signed off by supply chain management, Narayan Prasad and Madhu, and he got paid for that. I mean, during our searches in 781, we also applied for searches and seizures warrants. All the premises of Toshan Pandey, the premises of our supply chain management at province, finance at province, the members that were involved, their personal homes supplied. We got search warrants, search and seizure warrants. Toshan Pandey's offices, we did all the searches and seizures. And in Toshan Pandey's one office, we came across a A5 hardcover black book where he's got his company names, and it's all with columns. This tender, he would know, okay, Ballotone got the tender, then he would say there, okay, Gold Coast didn't get the tender, then he got the actual price, and then he says, okay, this is Ballotone's price. You can see the price inflated by 3. He actually kept a record of that in his possession. We just obviously all handed over to PricewaterhouseCoopers, who did the financial investigations into this. And then, Chair, we also discovered that I actually took an affidavit from a company in Pinetown who supplied, what do you call it, generators.
Yeah, you can look at your statement to refresh your memory if you need to do that.
Chair, I approached the company where Toshan Pandey bought generators for the Soccer 20 World Cup. But it's small generators, it's not big generators. And the price he paid for each generator was 4,900 rand. I took the affidavit of that company, and then I checked up and followed up on what did he charge the police for the generator, that same generator. And he charged the police between 92,000 and 97,000 rand for one generator. And that was signed off by supply chain management, and Toshan Pandey got paid for it.
So he would have paid about how much for the generator?
5,000 rand per generator.
But then he charged SAPS about 92,000 rand.
That is correct, Chair, for one. And the police paid him.
Sure.
It's ridiculous, to say the least.
Sure. Yes. 1 second, Ms. Wenzel. Just ask the referee to switch off the Yes, you may continue.
Could you explain to the chair how Mr. Pandey used his various companies to carry out cover quoting to make sure that whichever of, would you just explain it in your own words?
Okay, Chair, in the beginning,
Yeah, it's better that you let him just explain. Don't lead him.
Chair, in the beginning, Toshan Pandey approached supply chain management with, I think it was 5 or 6 companies. It was Gold Coast Trading, Unite and Zandi Trading, Ballotone, Bravosat. Then there's one, can just refresh my memory here, Kasif Traders. Now, Gold Coast Trading was the only CC, he was the only member of Gold Coast Trading. The Ballotone and all the others were in his wife's name, or his sister's name, and his brother-in-law's name. Those documentation from CIPS, he gave that to the police. And once these companies were registered on the police database, what he did, he changed the founding affidavit of the CCs with CIPS, and he made that he was the only director, changed it so that he is the only director of all those companies, which is given to the police. So the police at head office never got that information from Pandey that this was changed, or even our provincial, but our provincial, with the policemen there, they knew it was Toshan Pandey's companies. But so he controlled each and every company at the end of the day. It was proven by Trevor White from PricewaterhouseCoopers as well. He controlled all the finances.
And did these companies purport to compete for tenders?
Yes, Jay, they did. And at the end of the day, he actually kept note which companies competed for a specific tender, and he also made note of which company won the tender. No, the next then he would use another company, and that's how he would play the one off against the other. But he would get all the tenders at the end of the day.
So he recorded all of this.
Yes,
Yeah.
And was that in the black book that was discovered?
that is correct, Chair. That's in the book we seized.
And
Were
could you-
these, I'm sorry, these various entities that he was using, did they maybe use one office, shared one office where where the address is given for them? Was it one address? Therefore, by any.
Chair, it's all is one address, and that's Tosha Pandey's business address in Umhlanga.
They used one address.
They used one address, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And could you explain to the chair how Colonel Maddow,
So I'm sorry. That should suggest that anyone who considered their bids should have found that suspicious, isn't it?
Yes, Chair, but the thing is,
If
In the proper sense-
companies that are competing for a bid are sharing the same address.
yes, but you see that they didn't know that. They didn't know that, but the policeman knew
But
that.
wouldn't the tender documents, would they not reflect the address of the company that's bidding for the work?
Sir, Chair, that was all dealt with by Colonel Madhu and Captain Narayan Prasad.
So the ones who would have seen this were
Yes.
people who were working with him?
That's correct, Chair.
Okay.
That's correct, Chair.
Okay. But talking generally, nobody who had to make those decisions could not have picked it up if they did their job properly.
That is correct, Chair.
Yeah.
That is correct, Chair.
Okay.
thank you, and could you just explain to the chair how Colonel Madhu helped Mr. Pandey get his companies registered on the database for the police, supply chain management?
Chair, what we
database?
discovered is that once Tosha Pandey,
Maybe the way to ask that question, that's little, is whether Colonel Madhu had any role that he played in, did you say registration?
Yes,
Yes. Rather than how he helped who?
Chair,
Thank you, Chair.
Chair, what happened there is that Colonel Madhu supplied him with the applications for the registration on the supply chain management databases. Once Colonel Madhu received those documentation from those companies from Tosha Pandey, he gave it to a member who drove up to Pretoria by vehicle, not putting it through the normal channels, drove up by vehicle to Pretoria Supply Chain Management and arranged for it to be put on the database ASAP, like the next day. So it never went through the proper channels to be put on the database in Pretoria.
What would have been the proper channels?
So you normally send it by post, the receiving receipt memos. I don't know what the internal provincial and national supply chain, actually they operate, but I presume nobody will drive up every day with applications to Pretoria, say, put us on the database immediately. I mean, I don't think it works that way.
Yes. Well, maybe he thought the provincial people are too slow.
Maybe they were too slow.
Yes, okay.
Chair, I've been approached to ask for a technical adjournment. Apparently there's a problem with the transcription.
Oh, is
for
that
the
so?
recording.
Okay, let's take hopefully a 5 minutes adjournment to allow the technicians to attend to the problem. We adjourn.
Thank you.
All rise.
Okay, let's continue.
Thank you, Chair. Colonel van Loggerenberg, did you involve forensic investigators in the investigation?
Chair, what we did from the outset, and we saw the voluminous of documentation and work that's got to be done in this investigation, I'm talking about 781 itself. We approached our head office and requested for a forensic audit to assist in the investigation. I have submitted the mandate to our head office, and it was put out on tender, and a forensic auditing company was appointed, which I didn't know them. They were from somewhere in KZN. But they came and visited us, and it was sure that they couldn't do this job. Then we wrote a letter back to our head office, put on tender again, and that's when PricewaterhouseCoopers was awarded the tender. And then we met up with them, and the mandate was given to them, explained what we wanted. During the search and seizures, all the stuff that was searched, all the premise, all the evidence that we got was handed over to them. Everything was given to them. We served 205s on numerous bank accounts, numerous credit card accounts. It was all given to them. And at the end of the day, 781, the forensic report is 372 pages. The docket's got over 220 affidavits. And the exhibit files for the forensic report is 20 lever arch files. So it's a big case. And the evidence is overwhelming. It's overwhelming. I just want to mention that to you, Chair.
Thank you. Could you tell the Chair what benefits you found people involved in this matter received from Mr. Pandey?
Let's ask that differently. Was there anything that was received that motivated some of the people in the SAPS to cooperate with Pandey, Mr. Pandey?
Yes, Chair. At the end of the day, we discovered that we start by the provincial commissioner. She arranged a surprise birthday party for her husband at the Dish restaurant in Mhlanga Rocks. Her husband was a brigadier, also in the police force at that time. During the investigations, we discovered that the dish was paid for. The deposit was paid 10,000 rand by Tosham Pandey. The balance of the birthday party, that's everything inclusive, a DJ, we discovered that that was paid by Tosham Pandey's credit card. And I went to the Dish restaurant and I obtained an affidavit from Mr. Freddy Singh. Stated in his affidavit, as I told you now, Chair. And furthermore, the birthday party, if I can recall, it was on the 29th of May. But Tosham Pandey came afterwards to the manager at the Dish and asked him to...
That's 29 May, what year?
Chair, that was... It was
2010? The World Cup was in 2010?
It was after that, Chair. I'll get to that, Chair.
Okay.
But what Tosham Pandey also did, after the birthday party, he went back to the Dish restaurant and spoke to the manager. And he asked the manager to give him a new invoice in the name of the PC.
That is now
the
name of the provincial commissioner.
That is correct.
Yes.
And he must also put his name by the, what do you call it, by the reference number on the invoice. In other words, what I could gather, what it would show is that Tosham Pandey could use this as a benefit for tax purposes, or it could show that the PC actually appointed him to arrange his birthday party, to cover for that. But with PricewaterhouseCoopers investigation, no money could be traced, paid from the PC or her husband to any of Tosham Pandey's accounts. And then Colonel Madhu went on holiday in Cape Town with his family. And we discovered that Toshan Pandey,
And around when would that holiday have been? Ms. Wenzel, you can guide him in terms of where
Yes.
he might find certain
If you
information.
have a look at page 4 of your statement,
yes,
just firstly, just for clarity, in paragraph 5.7 and 5.8, you deal with this party and the date is the 29th of May 2010.
that is correct, Chair.
And now you're dealing with 5.12, Colonel Madhu. You can have a look at that to refresh your memory on page 4.
Chair, that's correct. Colonel Madhu went to Cape Town with his family on holiday, which Toshan Pandey paid for. That's also in the forensic report. And then what Toshan Pandey also did, he bought a vehicle for Colonel Madhu. We've also got affidavits to that effect in the forensic report. And Captain Ryan Passat was bought a treadmill, which was delivered at his house. We've got that evidence in the forensic report. And also, Captain Ryan Passat's son was studying at the college in Durban. And we discovered that Toshan Pandey paid for the college fees for Narayan Prasad's son. And then also further on, when we looked at Colonel Arias,
Do you remember what he paid in terms of college fees, or do you not have that at hand?
so I think the college fees was in the region of 29,000 rand.
Yes. And do you remember how much the holiday would have cost that Colonel Madhu
That was
to Cape Town?
See, I don't have the exact figure with me.
But you have got it somewhere in the documents that,
Yes, I can, it will be in the forensic report.
okay, if we don't have it here, if that can be obtained so that one gets a picture of how much was spent on,
Chair, I believe the forensic auditor, Trevor White,
will deal with those things.
he's still coming to testify,
Yeah, he is coming, yeah.
and he's the author of that report.
Oh, so
will
he has
have-
got all of that there.
He will have all of that on hand.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, it's
Thank you.
correct, Chair. Colonel, could you now please tell the Chair about case number 386? What did that relate to?
Chair,
We are now at page 5, eh?
We're at page 5.
Yes, okay.
Chair, it was decided that we take the evidence of the surprise party in the main docket 781 and register a separate case just for that.
Now, the surprise party again is the birthday
Birthday
party
party.
of the provincial commissioner's husband.
That is correct, Chair.
Okay.
So the docket was registered just for that. The investigating officer appointed to do that was Colonel Philip Herbst. So he was actually the one dealing with that matter. As I was concentrating on 781, and from 781, different cases came about, but I kept on 781, the other investigators kept on the other cases. But what I know, the knowledge that I know of 386 is that the docket was open, that evidence was presented to, I think it was Advocate Mzinyati at the time, and he was still there at the province in KZN. And then it was agreed that there's enough evidence to prosecute this matter. And then...
Did you say the evidence was presented to Advocate Mzinyati?
Yes, the evidence was given. Colonel Herbst approached Advocate Mzinyati,
Okay, all right.
and his view was that there's prima facie there's enough evidence to prosecute the matter.
Yes, okay.
But he resigned, he no longer left, he left the office, and then Advocate Noko took over took over the office of KZN. And then this docket was handed to Advocate Wendy Greef. And at the end of the day, she felt that there's not sufficient evidence to continue with this matter. We were obviously not sharing the same views as what she was sharing, but there's nothing that we could do at that point in time.
Now,
And in terms of the reasons, would that be the reasons that were given to say there was not enough evidence there? Would that be covered by Mr. White?
Yes, that is in her report. She felt that there's insufficient evidence.
Sorry?
She felt that there's not enough evidence.
Yes, yes. So there's a report that
Yeah,
somebody else
she's
would
in the
give
docket.
us.
Yes, it's in the docket, Chair.
Yes, okay, all right. But tell me your own understanding of what the reasons were that were given for that conclusion, if you are able to.
Chair, my view is,
In other words, when you were told what the reasons were, why she said there was not enough evidence, I just want to understand what your own thinking was when you were told that.
Chair,
Whether you were in agreement, you were not in agreement, or what were the main features of her reasons.
Chair, my view is that I think all the dockets should stay one docket. And you should make it a racketeering case. If you take individual cases away, the circumstances surrounding that individual case and what's going around in the racketeering docket is not there. Do you understand what I'm saying?
You lose
That,
you lose the chain.
that is right. Yes,
Yeah, if you separate them. But if you look at them together,
If you look at them together,
yeah, you'll get the proper picture.
you get a proper picture of actually what was going on here.
Yeah.
That was my feeling about this case in the first place.
So did you think that that may have been the reason why she might not have seen that there was enough evidence?
Yes, I would say that yesterday, that she could have think about that, and I wouldn't hold it against her.
Yes. She would have known that the cases were separated, isn't it?
Yes, she knew about the cases, Chair.
And if she was experienced enough, wouldn't she have known that looking at one and not looking at all of them could disadvantage her, and therefore couldn't she have said, look, I want to see everything?
She could have, but I can't answer for her.
No, but you see, you have been around, you have been in the police service for a long time.
Yes, yeah.
And you have dealt with many prosecutors, I've no doubt,
Yes.
and you have a reasonable sense of when there is a case and when there is not a case.
Yes.
For most of the cases, I'm sure that you have dealt with.
Correct, Chair.
Now, what I'm asking is whether when somebody in her position looks at a case in isolation, when with your own knowledge you know that if somebody looks at that case alone, they won't get a proper picture. They would need to look at that other one as well.
Yes.
Somebody in her position who decides not to look at the other case,
Yeah.
wouldn't that say to you, but how could she confine herself to this case? Because with her experience in that position, she should know you can't get a full picture by looking at one case.
Yes, no, I agree with you that she should have, and she could have gone and looked at the whole picture instead of just making a decision on this
Yes.
one case alone.
Yes, okay.
and Colonel van Loggerenberg, just to give the chair a bigger picture, we will deal with it in more detail in due course. What was the provincial commissioner's involvement in this investigation?
She was the suspect in this investigation.
But why was she a suspect?
Because it was discovered that Pandey paid for all these expenses. And And there's no way that she appointed him as an agent to pay for these expenses. And if it only boiled down to, she's a provincial commander. You got all the tenders. I mean, she knew what was going on because there's evidence that she actually tried to stop this investigation. And yes, she was the suspect in the matter.
That is case number 386.
That's right, Chair.
So, was she the only suspect, or was Mr. Pandey also another suspect?
She and Mr. Pandey, yeah.
They were the suspects in the
Yes,
matter?
that's correct, Chair.
Okay, all right. And 781, was it only Mr. Pandey who was a suspect?
Now, Chair, 781 was the PC.
Yeah.
It was Major General, I'll get to his name now, Colonel Madhu, Captain Ryan Prasad, Toshan Pandey's wife, Toshan Pandey's sister, Toshan Pandey's brother-in-law, all the companies mentioned. They were all listed as the suspects in the forensic report.
That one, that case 781 related to the procurement issues,
Yes.
Supply chain management issues.
Yes.
And this one related to the birthday party and the stopping of the investigation.
But Chair, I just want to tell you that 3 to 8, the evidence from 3 to 8 was actually extracted from the forensic report in 781 to register a separate case.
Yes, you are talking about 328 now. You mean 386?
Which is a party docket.
I asked you about 386. I just want to
Page
make sure we
5.
are on the same page.
Is that page 5?
386 is page
The
5.
birthday party is the birthday party, 386.
Oh, so when you said 328, you meant 386.
Yes, that's correct, Chair.
Yeah,
This
okay.
evidence was taken from the forensic report
Yeah,
and
of
from
Mr.
the
White.
affidavits we obtained in 781.
Okay.
Then
So it
said-
was like an offshoot of...
That's it.
Yeah,
That's correct.
okay. No,
That's
thank
correct,
you.
Chair.
Okay.
And then Colonel van Loggerenberg, just to clarify, if you have regard to paragraph 6.12 of your statement, mention there is made of Advocate Malotswa. What was his involvement?
He was then the acting DDPP at KwaZulu-Natal at that time. And that's when Colonel Herbst went and saw him.
And what was his view of the
His
case?
view that there was prima facie evidence and there was enough evidence to continue in this matter.
Now, when earlier on you told me that the evidence was presented to Advocate Mzinyati, who said there was enough case, did that relate to case 781?
No, sir, no, Chair, sorry, that relates to 386.
So, in regard to case 386, you therefore have like two NPA officials who said there's enough case, Advocate Mzinyati and Advocate Mlotshwa. They both said there's enough evidence. Is that correct?
Yes, but those people left, yes, Chair, that's correct. But then, at the end of the day, it ended up with Wendy Greef, with Advocate Wendy Greef.
Yes, but what I'm saying is, am I correct in understanding that in regard to this case, namely 386, two officials, two prosecutors from the NPA, Advocate Mzinyati at one stage, Advocate Mlotshwa at another stage, both separately said there was enough evidence to prosecute?
That is correct, Chair.
Okay, all right, thank you.
And what was the involvement of Advocate Norco?
Advocate Norco actually became the Deputy Director of Public Prosecutions in KZN. And Mlotshwa was no longer there. And also, Mzinyati, I think, resigned, and he went to the private bar, but he was also not around at the time. Chair.
And was Advocate Norco prepared to prosecute the case?
Chair, I can't say if the docket was given to her personally to review the matter by Colonel Herbst, but I know there's a report which Advocate Norco submitted at the end of this whole saga, replying on all the dockets and saying that, including this 386, that there's no evidence whatsoever against anybody in any of these dockets, including the PC.
I see that it looks like you say Advocate Wendy also declined to prosecute in this matter. And she's expressed, according to your affidavit, the opinion that what the investigation was flawed, I'm not sure, or the opinion of the SAPS was flawed. So you had two prosecutors saying there's enough evidence, and it looks like you had two prosecutors, Advocate Khuyef and Advocate Noko, saying there's not enough evidence.
That is correct, Chair.
Okay.
Thank you.
Chair, and when that docket was declined to prosecute, I'm talking about 386, the PC's husband was, as I mentioned, also in the police force. He's a brigadier. He was a brigadier at that time. I believe he's promoted to a general today. But if I'm not mistaken, he was at Phoenix Cluster, where Durban North reside under, Phoenix Cluster. Immediately when the docket was declined to prosecute it, he forwarded a letter to us requesting the docket. And I refused point blank. I said, you're not getting the docket. And eventually he just left it. But we never gave the docket. We requested the docket to us and said, no, you're not having the docket. What do you want the docket for? And we just said no, and we kept the docket. Because I couldn't see why should he ask for the docket? For what? What does he want to do with the docket?
Yes, thank you.
Then, Colonel van Loggerenberg, could you tell the Chair about case number 466? You deal with it on page 5, paragraph 7.
Chair, this case started with when Colonel Subramani was still busy with the inquiry of this matter. He sent a report to General Boyson, confidential report, but he did not date the report. And somehow,
So now we are dealing with case number 466.
466,
Yes.
Chair. And somehow this report ended up, as we discovered later, with Tosham Pandey and Colonel Madhu. As far as I can recall, Chair, Colonel Madhu then in turn approached General Boyson with this report, which he received earlier from Colonel Subramani.
That report related to the inquiry that the two of you had done.
That is correct, Chair.
Okay.
Yes. A progress report, that's what it was. Colonel Madhu then requested General Boyson to date this report. But he must date it in such a way that it looks that when we issued or when we applied for Section 205, that was done illegally. So in other words, backdate the stuff before the case was registered even.
Please remind me about Section 305. Is that
Section 205.
205? Yes.
So we use Section 205 of the Criminal Procedure Act to
Yeah.
obtain bank documentation.
Oh, for bank statements.
Yes,
Okay.
but he wanted General Boyson to date this report before the case was even registered in the case number, before CAS 781. So that would show that we illegally subpoenaed the banks to obtain the bank information.
So the report included, showed that you had obtained financial information from their bank accounts.
That's right, yeah.
And if Section 205 had not been complied with, then you would have acted illegally.
That is correct, Chair, yes.
Yes. But what reason did he give to General Poison for asking him
They
to
want
do
to,
that?
Chair, they want to attack us civilly with regarding to the Section 205s we applied for in terms of the Criminal Procedure Act.
But why would he think General Poison would have agreed to that?
I don't know
To
what...
even backdating
I
it,
did-
quite apart from the fact that it wasn't his report.
Yeah, no, I know, but Tosh and Pandey would use that in a civil matter to challenge our Section 205s in a civil court, to say that that is unlawful. And that is why I wanted the date backdated.
Yes.
But then,
Was the request made in such a way that General Poison could have been misled into thinking that it was just a genuine and innocuous request to put a certain date and not know that there were some
General Poison
intentions?
told us about it and we worked it out. It was for the Section 205s we applied with the courts. And that was the reason why they wanted that. And then General Poison told him, if I do that favor, it's not nothing for nothing. You must give me for something. That's where the money came into the story. And then General Boyson testified and they continued negotiating. I was not involved in that. The investigating officer involved in that matter originally was Colonel Len Sheriff, but sadly says deceased today, but Colonel Peter Proy took the matter over. And at the end of the day, what happened is that the state applied for Section 252A in terms of the Criminal Procedure Act to have a sting operation. And it was arranged that Madu will pay the money over to General Boyson. But then Colonel Len Sheriff, as far as my knowledge goes, he arranged the operation, he got the approval of the 252A from the advocate Gert Nel from Maritzburg. Everything was in place. Colonel Madu came into the parking garage of the provincial office in KwaZulu-Natal, and that's where he handed over, took the money out of his boot, placed it into General Boyson's boot. I was not present, I was not there. And as far as I know, they...
Yeah, General Poison gave evidence about that episode.
That's how this case came about, Chair.
Yeah, okay.
Now, with regards to that
So
case...
I'm sorry, Ms. Wenzel. The suspects in this one, case number 466, bribery stroke corruption, were they Colonel, or was it Colonel Madu?
And Colonel Madu and Toshan Pandey, Chair.
The two of them?
Yes, Chair.
Okay, all right. And it related to that, to the money in the boot incident?
Yes, they were arrested on that
Yeah,
matter, Chair.
okay, all right.
Now, who was the advocate assigned to that case?
It was Becky Mnyati, that's what I can recall now. It was Becky Mnyati was assigned to that matter.
And what
Is
was...
that Advocate Mzinyati?
Yeah, Becky,
Is that the same person?
yeah.
Okay, all right.
And what was his view about the matter?
His view that there was sufficient evidence. I mean, there's footage of it. The 252A was legal. The money was handed over. There were witnesses. And he said there's no problem.
And you say in your statement that Advocate Wendy Greef subsequently replaced Advocate Manyati. What then happened to the matter?
Well, let's start with, is that true that Advocate Greef replaced,
That is correct.
maybe the way to put it, it was Advocate Mzinyati
Yes, he resigned.
removed from the case?
Yes, he resigned, Chair, and then Advocate...
Or he resigned?
Yes, that's right, Chair.
And then Advocate Greef was assigned the matter?
That's correct, Chair.
Okay.
Yeah. And then, and I can recall the morning they appeared in the regional court to apply for a date to get the case transferred to the High Court. That same morning, without any one of us knowing, or the investigator in that matter knowing, or even when the Greef knew, that is when Advocate Noko instructed her to provincially withdraw the matter, stating that there were representations made and it concerned some investigations. And she mentioned there is a prima facie case in this matter at Noko. And she also said it must be, as I mentioned, provisionally withdrawn. And that was it.
So if you have regard to the internal memorandum on page 20,
yes.
you'll see this is an internal memorandum to Advocate Govender from Advocate Noko, and it says, Dear Advocate Govender, I've perused the files and the case docket in this matter, wherein the accused persons are charged with one count of corruption, alleged to have offered and or given a gratification to an officer. I've been presented with representations in this matter which raise some concerns regarding justice. Time is needed to investigate to follow up on these concerns. There's a prima facie case against the accused persons in this matter. However, in the interests of justice, I've decided to provisionally withdraw the matter. It will be dealt with at a later stage after the raised issues have been attended to. This case must thus be provisionally withdrawn on the 11th of February 2013 when it appears again in court for reasons as I have advanced supra. Kindly also inform the SAPS investigating officer accordingly. Is this what you're referring to?
That is correct, Chair. That is later what Advocate Noko that morning.
Were you aware of any representations that had been made?
No, Chair, not at all. Nothing whatsoever.
Advocate Govender, that is a member of SAPS, that was a member of the prosecutor in the NPA.
That's correct, Chair.
Advocate KD Govender.
Yes, Chair.
Was he a prosecutor or she a prosecutor?
No, she's in the NPA, but she's
At the court?
no, she's sitting at not at court itself.
Yeah.
She's like a section head.
Sorry?
Organized crime prosecutors, yeah.
But she's a prosecutor?
Yeah, she's a prosecutor, yes, Chair.
Okay, all right. Continue.
Thank you. Could you then tell the Chair about case number 122?
122.
Well, before we get there, this was withdrawn and what happened? This particular one?
Chair,
This was many years ago. We are now in 2020.
Chair, as far as I can recall that,
Was it ever reinstated?
yes, as far as I know now, it has been reinstated, and Advocate Wendy Greef from the KZN Commercial Crime Courts is dealing with the matter, with this specific
But the
matter.
trial has not started as far as
No,
you know.
not yet. No, Chair, she's
Yeah.
still busy. She's still busy with it.
Yeah, so it looks like many years have lapsed since it was
Yes.
provisionally withdrawn.
That is correct, Chair. You see, it was only looked at again after Advocate Sean Abrams gave the instructions
Yeah,
that prosecution must continue in these matters.
okay.
Only then something happened again with these matters.
Yes, I see that the memo from Advocate Noko to Advocate Govender, where she gave instructions that the matter be provisionally withdrawn, is dated 7 February 2013.
That's correct, Chair.
So 7 years later, the trial
Yes.
has not happened.
That's correct, Chair.
Yeah.
Yes. And Chair, perhaps just, it is 11:15. I don't know if you want to
Yeah,
adjourn.
let's take the adjournment.
Thank you.
On my watch, it's about 18 minutes past. We'll resume at 25 to 12. We adjourn.
Thank you, Chair.
All rise.
Thank you, Chair. Colonel van Loggerenberg, I'm now referring to page 6 of your affidavit, paragraph 8. Could you give the Chair an idea what Durban Central Case 112 was about?
112 or 122?
122, I beg your pardon, Chair.
Yeah, 122.
Chair, just want to make a correction. Before the tea time, I said Advocate Wendy Greef was doing 466. It's Advocate Wendy O'Brien that's prosecuting
Oh,
466.
so that is what, 7.13 of your affidavit?
Yeah. It's
Is it-
Advocate Wendy O'Brien that is busy with the prosecution.
She's the one who replaced Mr. Advocate Mzinyati.
No. She's the one busy with this matter, Durban Central 466, at this point in time. She's the prosecutor appointed to do that matter.
386.
No, 446.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. There are so many of these case numbers. 466.
That's right.
Yeah, okay.
Advocate Wendy O'Brien, not
I thought you said
Advocate Wendy Greef.
446. 466. She was involved.
That's right. Advocate Wendy O'Brien is a
Okay,
prosecutor involved.
okay.
Chair,
And Advocate Greef, Wendy Greef, related to another matter.
That is correct, Chair.
Okay, all right.
Chair, Wendy O'Brien is currently today the prosecutor.
In the matter.
Yes, in the matter.
Yes, okay, thank you.
If you could now just tell the Chair what you know about Durban Central Case 122.
Chair, this matter,
Well, we'll refer to 122, but the actual case seems to be 122, stroke 04, stroke 2012.
That is
That's right,
correct,
yeah.
yeah.
But
Yes.
we'll say
Yes.
122. And 466, the one we refer to as 466 is actually 466 stroke 09 stroke 2011, and the one we refer to as 386 is 386 stroke 09 stroke 2011.
that's correct, Chair.
And was there an earlier one than that? Yes, there was case number 781. When we referred to 781, we were referring to case number 781 stroke 06 stroke 2010.
That is
Yes.
correct, Chair.
So the record will capture the
Thank you,
correct
Chair.
case numbers.
Thank you.
Okay.
Sir, in this case, Durban Central Case 122 stroke 04 stroke 2012, I can recall is that General Boyson has placed a stop with Financial Department to pay further monies to Toshan Pandey. Toshan Pandey then launched a civil application to sue this outstanding amount from the police. But what he needed,
To sue the police, SAPS,
Yes.
for not paying him.
that's correct, Chair.
Okay.
What happened there is Toshan Pandey and Captain Narayan Prasad approached another member, Captain Stevens. They requested Captain Stevens to, let me just go a step back. So with the searches and seizures, we seized documentation from different departments from our provincial office. And some of those documents were invoices and call-up instructions issued by Brigadier Hunter for the members to assemble for the 2010 Soccer World Cup or wherever needed. They approached Captain Stevens to reprint some of these invoices, which they didn't have in their possession at that point in time, and also to falsify call-up instructions. And that Captain Stevens would have to falsify Brigadier Hunter's signature on the documents, endorsed to say, yes, it's been approved, services has been rendered.
That is payment, for payment purposes.
That's to show in a civil matter that services has been rendered and it has been authorized.
so that Mr. Pandey's claim would succeed.
That's right, Chair. And that's where this case occurred of, and we also there, if I can recall correctly, is that approval was obtained and Captain Stevens negotiated with these people. There were recordings made, there were visual reports made, and this matter was given to Advocate Dorian Paver from the Pietermaritzburg DDP's office. But the audio recordings between Captain Stevens and Pandey and Ryan Prasad is actually in, an Indian street language. So a person that does not know that slang or whatever, to put it that way, wouldn't understand exactly what they mean and what they say. So there's a bit of a problem with the audio of that thing, and they're trying to rectify that at this point in time, so that they can continue with that matter.
What was Captain Stevens supposed to do? What was his role?
Chair,
I see you refer to him in paragraph 8.10.
Yes, Captain Stevens was in the section at Brigadier Hunter's division where he worked for under Brigadier Hunter in this section. Brigadier Hunter was responsible for, if they needed 20 policemen, say at point A, Brigadier Hunter will authorize a call-up instruction, the members' names, authorize it, and then it will go from Captain Stevens, will see to those documentations, send it to supply chain, and see that people get there and everything is arranged for them. That's where Captain Stevens fit in, because they needed those documents, those call-up instructions. And that's, some of them they did have, and some of them they did not have. And that's why they approached him to fill in the gaps where they didn't have them.
So he was cooperating with Mr. Pandey and the group.
Yes, he first approached General Boyson regarding this matter, and then General Boyson approved, and then it ran from there.
Yes. Okay. Do you know what was in it for him?
Eddie?
Do you know what was in it for him? Why was he helping Mr. Pandey?
They promised him R1 million, Chair, if you can do that for them.
If he assisted them?
Yes, Chair.
Yes.
Bribe him with R1 million.
And is that what you found out as the investigation was happening?
Chair, this happened actually after 781.
Oh, okay.
Now, because this was now Retoshan Pandey for his civil matter, not for the criminal matter.
Yeah, okay.
They tried to use this information for a civil matter.
Yes, okay.
Against the police to try and get the money released.
Okay. And what happened to the civil?
Chair, we don't know it, but I know it's still pending.
Was payment made after
Chair,
they facilitated?
No, Chair, never.
It was not paid?
No, Chair.
Was that because of the decisions taken by General Boyson to say there should be no payment?
That's correct, Chair.
Okay, so in terms of what ultimately happened with the civil action, you don't know?
That's correct, Chair.
It has not been finalized as far as you know?
That's correct, Chair.
And if it had been finalized, you would have known?
Yes, Chair, we would have known, yes,
Okay,
Chair.
thank you.
Thank you, Chair.
So it must have been pending for many years, is that right?
Yeah, no, that's a lot of years ago, yes.
Yeah, okay, all right, thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Now, we are again dealing on page 7 of your statement, and now in particular to what is now colloquially called case number 781. Could you tell the Chair about the interference, you say in your affidavit, you experienced with your investigation?
Chair, we were informed by General Boyson on many occasions, but say 3 or 4, to stop the investigation in Durban Central Case 781/06/2010.
Yes, tell us first what that investigation was about.
Excuse me,
And
Chair.
tell me first what that investigation was about under case 781.
781 was a corruption charges where all those people involved, the PC,
Oh, that's the one we started with from the beginning.
Yes, that's the accommodation one and all that.
Now I remember. That's the one we started with early in your affidavit.
Yes, that's
Okay,
correct.
okay. You say General Poison gave you an instruction to?
Stop the investigation.
Yes,
He got the instruction from the PC, Lieutenant General Gubeni.
yes.
The PC, Lieutenant General Gubeni.
I'm sorry, I just want to make sure I hear what that last bit is that you were saying. Did you say he got instructions from General Gubeni?
From your Lieutenant General Gubeni, the Provincial Commissioner,
Yeah,
to stop the investigation.
okay, yes,
781.
yes. And did he then pass that instruction over to you?
That is correct, Chair.
Yeah, okay.
Yes. We did not stop, Chair.
You did not stop?
No.
Yes.
The documents that we had, we made copies of it and gave him the file back.
Yes,
But we did not stop.
okay.
We carried on.
So as you understand the position, the provincial commissioner instructed General Poison that the investigation must be stopped. General Poison passed that instruction over to you.
That is correct, Chair?
You handed back the file to General Poison, kind of pretending that you had stopped,
That is correct,
but you
Chair.
actually had not stopped.
That is correct,
And you
Chair.
had kept some documents.
That is correct,
And then
Chair.
you continued with the investigation.
That is correct, Chair.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Colonel van Loggerenberg, can you please have regard to an affidavit of Lawrence Kemp on page 22?
Sorry, 22.
Yes.
I'm there.
What is your knowledge of this affidavit?
Chair, my knowledge of this affidavit is that we used this affidavit as A1 to firstly open up a case. He was a complainant in 781. And his affidavit covers everything he discovered and also that the PC found him and his second in charge, Colonel Pandey, was also present when the Provincial Commission instructed him to tell General Boyson to stop the investigation.
And who requested this affidavit from him?
Chair, I approached him for an affidavit after I have gone through his initial internal memorandum. He refused to give me an affidavit. And I knew why he refused to give me an affidavit, because he wanted something to cover himself that nobody can put the blame on me, that he gave an affidavit freely and willingly. So at the end of the day, what I did, I obtained a section 205 of the Procurement Procedure Act. I served it on him, and then he gave me the affidavit.
So that he could say, I was obliged to give it to him.
That is correct, Chair.
Yeah,
Yes.
to cover himself.
That's correct, Chair.
Yes. And this affidavit, was it included in the file that you handed back to General Poison?
No, not this one, Chair.
But you already had it with you when you handed that file, but you didn't include it in the file.
I don't think so, Chair, because this affidavit took a while. It was the inquiry file that we actually gave back to
General Poison.
General Boyson, yeah.
So you got the affidavit later?
Later, yes, this took a while to take this
Yes,
affidavit, yeah.
as part of the investigation that
Yes.
you were doing without the provincial commissioner knowing.
That's correct, Chair.
Okay, yes.
But at this point in time, when we were told how many times to stop, Colonel Subramani phoned Colonel Dramani.
I'm sorry, were you ever told why the provincial commissioner was saying this investigation must be stopped? Do you know whether anybody ever asked her, why must this investigation be stopped? And if so, what did she say?
Chair, I don't think anybody asked her why this investigation should stop, but everybody knew why she gave the instruction, because she's implicated.
Yes.
That, but I didn't ask her personally. I don't know if General Boyson asked her personally, but I don't think anybody asked her.
Yeah,
She
but
just said, stop this
I would have been
investigation.
interested to know what reason she would have given.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But-
okay,
I don't
all
know.
right. Thank you. I interrupted, you may continue.
Thank you. And
Chair, I was at where Colonel Vasan Subramani phoned General Ramat. He was the national head of the Hawks at that time. And then he told us to have a meeting with him in Pretoria. So Colonel Subramani and myself drove up to him. We had a meeting with him.
This is now, you said General Ramat.
Ramat.
Yes,
Yes, Anwar Ramat.
He was the head of the Hawks
Yes.
at the time, yes.
That's correct, Chair. We showed him all the evidence that we've got, and also that we've got evidence against the PC, we've got evidence against General R.S. Pillay, against Captain Madhu. We went through the whole story, and at the end of the day, he said, first of all, General Kobeni hasn't got the authority to stop this investigation. And he told us to continue with the investigation. We don't stop, we continue. And then it was arranged, he said, well, the best would be that the Office of Serious Economic Offences in Pretoria would deal with the matter. And we had a discussion with the Office of Serious Economic Offences, but at the end of the day, they agreed that we must just carry on with the investigation and we must report directly to General Ramat. And that's how we continued with the investigation.
dealing with this affidavit, if you could go to paragraph 18 on page 28.
Page?
28.
Yes.
And this is what Colonel Kemp says. On Wednesday, the 5th of May 2010, at about 15:25, while myself and Colonel Moodley was at Jacob's garage attending to work-related matters, I received a phone call from the Provincial Commissioner, Lieutenant General Nkubeni, on my cell phone. The Provincial Commissioner informed me that the investigation pertaining to the procurement procedures of the detachment duties must stop, and I must inform Deputy Provincial Commissioners Nchanya and Boyson. I first phoned General Boyson. However, the General's phone was on voicemail and I left a message informing the General of the Provincial Commissioner's instruction. I then contacted General Nchanya and informed the General of the Provincial Commissioner's instruction, whose response was that I am telling him that while it is raining and the roof is leaking, we mustn't repair the roof. As I wasn't directly involved in the investigation, I considered that I have complied with the Provincial Commissioner's instruction. Can you comment on that? Is this what was told to you by Colonel Kemp?
Yes, that is right, yeah. That he did receive the phone call from the Commissioner, General Nkubeni, to stop the investigation.
But that's what he told you.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, Chair.
You were not there yourself.
No,
when he
I was
received
not
it, yeah.
there, no, Chair. That's what he told me. This is what I recorded, what he told me in the statement.
And did you record the statement?
Yes, I did, Chair.
Yes.
Yeah.
He then says in paragraph 19 on page 29, on Saturday the 8th of May 2010 at about 5 o'clock, I received a phone call on my cell phone from the Provincial Commissioner. The Provincial Commissioner inquired about the detachment expenditure and the procurement processes thereof. I highlighted and raised my concern about the high expenditure of detachment duties and indicated that if the current expenditure for detachments continued, it will have a very negative impact on the provincial budget. I also raised my concern about the expenditure of certain detachments that was exorbitant. I gave the example of expenses of obtaining accommodation of 850 per night per person for detachment at Escort, which I was of the opinion was far too expensive. This call lasted some time, and the Provincial Commissioner also asked me about procurement procedures, but I refrained to give an opinion and focused on my responsibility pertaining to the budget and the high expenditure for detachment duties. The call was concluded when the Provincial Commissioner indicated that the matter would be discussed in her office on Monday the 10th of May 2010.
That is correct. Yes, that's what they told me.
And then paragraph 20, on Monday the 10th of May 2010 at about 8:30, I was informed to go to the Provincial Commissioner's office. On my arrival at the Provincial Commissioner's boardroom, the Provincial Commissioner, the 3 Deputy Provincial Commissioners, Masemolo, Njandana and Boyson, as well as Colonel Maddow of Provincial Supply Chain Management was present. The Provincial Commissioner indicated the purpose of the meeting was to look at the expenses of the detachments. Colonel Maddow was asked to explain the procurement process, but hardly started when the Provincial Commissioner asked me to highlight the details of my information note. I told the meeting about the expenditure for detachment duties and the high expenditure, as well as raise my concerns of the high expenditure incurred pertaining to certain detachments. I again referred to the example of high costs for accommodation at Escort. While I was giving my concerns, the Provincial Commissioner interrupted on a few occasions, and some of the deputies, like General Njandana, was given an opportunity to comment. At one stage in the meeting, a letter received
I'm sorry,
from...
Ms. Venzel. Doesn't look like this witness attended that meeting. Why are you reading this?
Just to confirm that this is what was told to him by this witness.
He was subsequently told after the meeting.
Yes, he was told this when he took the statement. This witness took this statement
from
this
Mr.
witness.
Kemp.
Yes.
Mr. Kemp, okay, all right.
In the middle of page 30, it says, at one stage of the meeting, a letter received from head office, which was forwarded to the Provincial Commissioner and myself and the Provincial Head Finance, and requested the province to supply information, was discussed. I indicated that I'm in the process of compiling the feedback. This upset the Provincial Commissioner, who indicated that these direct lines we have with head office must stop. The Provincial Commissioner was very angry with me. This became the main issue and not the issue of the high expenditure for the detachment duties. I was given to understand that I must know what I must do and use the correct communication channels. I felt and got the impression that I was at the wrong and must not have compiled the information note, as the Provincial Commissioner was very upset with me. At the meeting, as the meeting was becoming unpleasant, Major General Boyson requested whether myself and Colonel Maddow cannot be excused, as Corps management discussed the matter further. The two of us were then excused. Is that in line with what you were told?
That is correct, Chair.
Yes, but why is it not enough for... Is there anybody who is going to dispute that this statement was made by Kemp, Mr. Kemp? Why is it necessary to get this witness to confirm that what is written here was told to him?
Chair, because it, I believe, will give...
But is it prior to the statement being done? Well, he took the statement from Mr. Kemp.
Yes.
Is that right?
Yes.
And this is what the statement says.
Yes.
So why does he need to confirm anything that is said here?
Chair, in a sense, to give the picture as to the further documentation that will be shown to you,
It should
to
be
get a
enough to
background.
say, did you draft this statement or take the statement from
Yes.
Mr. Kemp? That should be enough.
Yes.
Yeah.
Chair,
Have we
it's
confirmed
fine, we
that?
don't need to do that.
Yes.
We have confirmed that.
Yes,
And we can deal with that.
Because obviously, if he drafted the statement, he was told what is in the statement.
Yes. It's also, Chair, just to avoid having to call every single person involved to confirm these facts. But if it is confirmed,
Yeah,
the confirmation is there and it's on record.
That part is an important part. I think General Poison testified about the same meeting.
Yes.
But it doesn't help to say this witness who took the statement must confirm that what is in the statement is what he was told by the person who signed the statement.
Yes, thank you. If we can then just refer to Colonel Melanie Moodley's statement, you'll find it at page 72, or the statement itself is at page 73. Who took this statement?
Chair, the statement was obtained by Colonel S.Y. Govender.
Is that the statement at page 73?
It's the statement. It's Annexure JVL 3.
Is it at page 73?
At page 73, yes.
Yeah.
And
You see, even there, unless unless you know that there is going to be a dispute whether that statement, the signature there is so-and-so's signature, the person who gave the statement, unless you know that there is going to be an issue about that, there is not much point, I think, in asking to confirm that he took the statement. But if there is going to be an issue about maybe that the statement doesn't reflect what the person who signed the statement says happened, then it might become necessary then to say, okay, who took the statement? What was that person told? Did that person correctly put in the statement what they were told? But if there is going to be no issue about that, we can move on.
yes, there are two aspects I only wish to draw to your attention in the statements, Chair, which may prove to be controversial and are also important because they explain why some surveillance and monitoring was conducted later in this matter. If I can just refer you to page, it's page 76. I hope that you can see that clearer than mine because the writing seems to go over the page number.
I've got what looks like 76. Does it start with the word from SCM?
Yes, it does.
Yes. Is that a statement by somebody?
This is the statement
Moodley.
by Moodley that you
Yes.
say was taken by Mr. Govender.
That is correct, Chair.
Colonel Govender. I'm just going to read the second paragraph on that page. It says, the next day, 6 May 2010, I received...
Why are you reading it?
Only because it confirms this handing back of documents and the closing of the case on the instruction of the PC.
Yes.
So it's just that paragraph, Chair. And that's that and one further paragraph. That's all that's needed.
So you say, well, you can, even if you don't read, you can just tell me that this is what this witness,
Yes.
the person who signed that statement says, and then he or she will be called later on if she will be called.
Yes.
If that's necessary to connect, to make us understand this witness evidence better.
Yes.
But if it's not for that purpose, we can deal with it when that witness comes.
Chair, I think you might be able to understand this witness better if it can just be pointed out that what is stated in this statement is that Brigadier Loggerenberg stated that he had received the instruction from the PC that he must hand back all the documents and that the case was closed. And as far as he was concerned, that was the end.
How does she know that that's what I take? Yeah, how does she know that that's what Loggerenberg was told?
Because she says that Loggerenberg told her this.
Yeah, that's hearsay.
Yes.
So why do we read hearsay from somebody when we are hearing the evidence of another witness.
Yes, Chair, we don't need to have to deal with that further, except to say that, as is stated in the affidavit, what you say in paragraph 9.12 is that Colonel Moodley said...
Ask him to give the evidence. Ask the witness to give the evidence.
Yes. Could you please tell the Chair what is stated in paragraph 9.12?
Hang on. Let's put that differently. Who is the he referred to in paragraph 9.11.2, Ms. Venza? The he there refers to
It is
whom?
Brigadier Kemp. It is Brigadier Kemp.
Brigadier Kemp, yeah.
Yes. And you will be calling him, isn't it?
We haven't as yet said that we would call him, but we certainly can make attempts to consult with him and call him.
Well, why would he not be called if he is one of the people who got a call from the provincial commissioner saying the investigation must be stopped? The only reason I can think of is if there are enough witnesses who have corroborated that.
I think there may be enough witnesses, but I will make sure that he is contacted and perhaps his evidence can be led as well.
Okay, just continue and tell me more about case number 7881. What happened? You were instructed to close the investigation, stop the investigation. You handed the file back to General Boysen, but you continued with the investigation. Just continue there.
Yeah, we continued the investigation, and after it became known by the PC, couldn't tell that General Dramat gave the instructions for us to continue.
Mm-hmm.
She did not attempt to, or interfere with the investigation thereafter to tell
There
us
were
to
no
stop.
further attempts by her to stop the investigation.
That is correct, Chair.
Do you know how she came to know that General Dramat had given instructions that the investigation should continue?
Chair, I don't know. I think that she may have received the information from General Boysen.
Yes,
Because she
okay.
must have approached him and said, but the investigation is continuing, I told you to stop.
Yes.
And I'm just, you could have just told her, but no, it's instructions from General Dramat.
Yes. Okay, continue and tell me everything that you might not have told me yet about that investigation relating to 781.
Chair, from the outset, the case was assigned to an advocate, Bromley Gans, in Durban to deal with 781. But she resigned, and then the matter was handed over to Advocate Abby Letsolo from the Commercial Crime Courts. And he was also appointed in this Amigos matter, as you are aware of.
Yes.
During this investigation, from the outset, Advocate Letsolo knew that there was an Act 70 on the matter pertaining to the threat of our lives.
So let's
I'm
just,
sorry, just repeat that.
can we,
Chair, during our investigation, as I said, we got threats on your lives.
That is during your investigation in case number 781.
That is right. Yeah.
There were threats made on your lives.
Yes.
Yes, that is now yourself and...
Colonel Philip Babs and Colonel Ismail Governor.
Yes, okay. And the threats coming from whom, or anonymous?
Chair, I received a phone call from a lady informed me that she's working for Toshan Pandey, and she overheard him in a conversation to somebody else that they want to take me out and my team. She was concerned and she phoned me, and I made a note thereof in my diary, official diary, and I left it at that. And then a month or two thereafter, I received another call from her. She said she's getting worried now. She heard overhearing a conversation from Tosha Pandey to another person, again threatening us. And then I thought, okay, what I'll do, I also recorded that conversation with her in my diary. She didn't want to give me a name or tell her where she's phoning from or what. She phoned me on my landline, so I couldn't actually see where she was phoning from. So I submitted a report to Brigadier Loggerenberg.
And can I just confirm that the pages of your diary where you recorded this, what she said, is that part of what is here or is that not here?
The Chair, that is with IPID.
That's with IPID?
That's with IPID.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. Yes, continue.
I then made a report to Brigadier Loggerenberg, who was the provincial commander of the commercial crime courts. He then wrote the request to General Moodley from Crime Intelligence and asked him for one of his members to look into the threats, into the investigation to see what they can see and might investigate and see what they can find out about the threats against our members. Colonel Pariachi from Crime Intelligence was appointed to do this investigation, and he applied for the Act 70.
What is an Act 70?
Act 70 is, put it in plain words, Chair, is to tap the lines.
Just repeat that.
It is, the Act 70 is to monitor people's telephone lines.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And he did an application and the judge...
That's the one where you apply to a judge
Yes, that's correct, Chair.
for permission to do that.
That is correct, Chair.
Okay.
He did that, and the judge approved it, and then he was doing that side of the investigation against the threat of our members and myself. That Act 70 had nothing to do with 781. So I'm talking about the investigation. Nothing at all. Advocate Abby Lesolo was aware of this.
This was you said, Colonel Padachi, who was conducting this exercise of listening to, monitoring
Yes, that is correct.
these
Chair.
telephone conversations.
Yes, that's correct, Chair.
Okay.
And when Advocate Lesolo was given this matter, we told him he was aware of it, and Advocate William Miller, he was also there, also from the commercial crime courts, and then Advocate Vani Governor, she was aware of it. And
Who
what-
was Advocate Vani Governor? Where was she from?
She's also from actually the head of the organized crime prosecutors at Provincial of KwaZulu-Natal.
Yes.
And there were meetings between us to discuss 781 and 466, but everybody knew from the outset. And I told them, I don't need the Act 70, because what do I want the Act 70 for? I've got documentation, and that's all I want. And everybody was happy, and eventually at the end of the day, Colonel Brian Pariachi actually picked up some conversations which relates to CAS 466, the corruption matter of General Boyson. And I know that was used for that specific case only.
When you say the corruption matter of General Boyson, you are referring to the money in the boot case.
That is correct, Chair.
Yeah, okay.
That's case 466.
That is correct, Chair. Yeah, that is correct. And we carried on the investigation, and we submitted all the evidence that we received from seizures and searches and banks and whatnot. We gave that to Trevor White from PricewaterhouseCoopers. And he was busy with the forensic report. He drafted the forensic report. We carried on the investigation, and we'd come to a point we had a draft forensic report in respect of 781. And we had a meeting in, I think it was in January, with Advocate Lesolo, myself, Advocate Vani Governor, Colonel S.Y. Governor. where we went through the draft report and we spoke about the evidence against each person that's mentioned in the draft report, from the PC to Madhu, Narayan Prasad, Toshan Pandey, his wife, his sisters, his brother-in-law, the companies, and we all agreed, and they all agreed, there's overwhelming evidence. As I said, there's 372 pages of the forensic report that corroborates that. There's affidavit that corroborates that. But when it came to the PC, Advocate Letsolo told me, I've got my reservations. I was shocked. I just looked at him. And Advocate Bonnie said, well, I've also got my reservations. And I looked at him, I said, well, what reservations have you got? They couldn't answer me. I said, but the evidence against the others is 200% according to you, according to the forensic report, according to affidavits. The evidence against the PC is a carbon copy, it's exactly the same. We've got the forensic report corroborating that, we've got the evidence corroborating that, we've got evidence from the dish, we've got evidence, bank statements, Toshan Pandey's card has been used. No, there's not enough evidence against the PC.
Now, with regard to the PC, the conduct for which she was sought to be charged or prosecuted, was it the fact that she gave instructions to stop the investigation, or was it anything about her role in Mr. Pandey paying for her husband's birthday party?
That is right, Chair. That's a gratuity that she received from Toshan Pandey, the businessman, who paid for a bus.
Oh, it was also the receipt
Yes.
of money from
Yes.
from Mr. Pandey.
That is correct, Chair.
Yeah. So it was the receipt of that money, and the argument must have been that it was corruption,
Yes, there's a corrupt relationship.
bribery.
Yes.
And then was the instruction to stop the investigation also part of
Yes,
the conduct
because it's
that was
obvious.
being-
Why did
Yes.
she instruct him to stop the
Yes,
investigation?
because
she
he
knew
got the money.
she knew she was going to be exposed some stage.
Yes, okay.
And
Avro Leswale was saying he had reservations, but you asked him to tell you what the reservations were, and he did not tell you.
he could not tell me, neither of them. So out of frustration, I told him, look, if you don't want to charge the PC, why do you want to charge the rest?
And what was the answer?
It was quiet, Chair. Because I was close.
On the analysis of what was before them, Advocate Leswalo and whoever, and on the basis of the discussion, did you form any view as to whether the decision or his view that he had reservations about whether the provincial commissioner should be charged, whether that was based on good faith grounds that you might not agree with, or did you think there was something
Chair,
untoward about it?
My gut, when I left that meeting, my gut told me this is a political decision. Everybody knows, or what we investigators knew, that Toshan Pandey had a business relationship with the ex-president Zuma's son, Edward. And then for Advocate Letsolo, then asking me, well, why isn't the Act 70 in case number 781? I said, the Act 70 has got nothing to do with 781. But then he told me about, we used 781 to compile this document, the case 781. I said, there's no evidence from the 781 was used for this document. And we did not use anything because I didn't need it. As I say, we searched, we seized, we got the bank information, we searched the province, we searched premises, the forensic report is there, corroborate what we've got in the affidavits. Everything is in front of them. Yeah, I knew what my gut was, it was a political decision. And then when he told me afterwards that, well, the Act 70 is the reason, I just said, well, you can do what you want. You show me in 781 or in a forensic report any piece of evidence coming from the Act 70, I'll agree with you. I got Trevor White from PricewaterhouseCoopers. He wrote a memo confirming all the evidence in the forensic report and in the docket. The Act 70 had nothing to do with that investigation. We never used anything from, we don't even know what was going on in the Act 70.
Now, when you told Advocate Letswalo this and whoever he was with, that we never used anything from what you call Act 70 for this investigation, what was his response? Did he say, no, but I can see you used it, look at this?
Chair, he couldn't get that far. He told me that in previous cases he had before, where the police told him the Act 70 was involved, he never had Act 70. I can still remember his words, he got egg on his face, but he never actually could have told me or could have shown me anywhere in 781. He just kept on saying, and I knew it now, he used it as only an excuse not to prosecute the matter, and also obviously the political decision as far as I'm concerned.
And are you able to say if he was basing his decision on what you had put before him, then there really was nothing that connected this investigation and Act 70?
That is correct, Chief. Nothing connected it.
If there was anything, he must have lent it from somewhere else, but not on what was before him.
Nothing, Chief. Nothing whatsoever.
Yes.
200%. There was nothing.
Yes.
And all the other IOs in this 781 can testify. PricewaterhouseCoopers believes it's going to come. Nothing was used. But he was blunt in using the Act 70 as an excuse. Because apparently the representations were made to him from Tosh and Pandey in respect of 781, not to prosecute.
Did you ever see those representations?
No, we never saw that. We were not even aware of that.
At the time that you were having this discussion with him,
Yes.
Did he at that stage tell you that there were representations received from Mr. Pandey, or is that something you had later?
No, sir, that was something we had later, because after this meeting we just left, and then my wife got sick, and during March that same year, he held another meeting with Colonel Governor and with, and at that meeting was Advocate Letswalo, as I can recall, Colonel Jones, and Colonel S.Y. Governor. And then he said, well, look, he made up his mind, he's not going to prosecute. Representations were made, and in the representation, that was conveyed out to me by Colonel Governor, because I was sick at home. He found me during the meeting.
But was the practice, would the practice not be that if the prosecutors receive representations from a suspect or from an accused person, that they should not be prosecuted? Would the practice not be that before the prosecutors make any decision on those representations, they would consult the investigating officer and say, this is what is being said, what do you have to say on this?
Chair, that is a normal practice, and I agree with you, that is what happened with other cases which we had, but not with this one. We never knew about this representation.
Yes.
And during that meeting with Colonel S.Y. Governor, I was not present, where Colonel Jones showed up the first time. During the whole course of this investigation, we never reported to him. We never told him the nitty-gritty of anything in any of these cases. We sidestepped him for reasons, but we reported to General Boyson and General Ramat. All of a sudden, Colonel Jones is sitting here next to Africa Letsola. Africa Letsola informing Colonel Governor, no representations were made, and apparently it was heard from the lines that we can work out his defense and this and that and whatever the case may be, but at that point in time there was not even a draft charge sheet. There was nothing. Toshi and Pandey could have known at that point in time, or at the point I'm going to ask him what the defense can be, because we didn't have a charge sheet. So that is baseless information that is trying to sell to SY Governor. Then we've been told that the representations were given to Colonel Jones. Whether he investigated it, Colonel Jones investigated or not, I don't know. But we knew that it was given to Colonel Jones. The Governor requested a copy of that. They refused to give it to him. And that was his decision. Wrote the report, so that's it.
Now, you said that Advocate Letsoalo, as if I understood you correctly, was of the opinion that in regard to the other people, there was sufficient evidence, but not against the provincial commissioner. Did I understand you correctly? In regard to the same case, 781?
Yes, Chair.
Was that the opinion he expressed, that in regard to the other people, other suspects in the same case, there was enough case?
Yes, Chair.
But not against the provincial commissioner?
That is correct, Chair.
Now, wasn't one of the other people Mr. Pandey?
Yes, Mr. Pandey, Colonel Madhu, Captain Narayan Prasad,
Yes.
the whole bunch.
So in regard to Mr. Pandey was one of those suspects in respect of whom he said there was enough evidence.
That's correct, Chair.
But when he then invoked what you refer to as Act 70, was he invoking it to say, I'm not going to charge anybody, even those against whom I think there is enough evidence because of this Act 70, or he was saying, I'm invoking Act 70 to say I won't prosecute the provincial commissioner, but I will prosecute the rest of the people, including Mr. Pandey?
No, Chair. He used the Act 70 as an excuse not to charge anybody in 781.
Oh,
nobody.
Okay.
He used the Act 70 for all of them.
Yes.
And then
but in regard to the provincial commissioner, he was saying there's not enough evidence in any event. That was his opinion.
He didn't say that because the only thing he told me is, well, I've got my reservations. And he couldn't ask me when I asked him.
Yes, okay. Thank you. You may proceed, Ms. Wenzel.
If you can now turn to page 99.
Maybe that's where you are going. Are you completing as to the formal decision that was made or not
Yes,
really?
this is an internal memorandum, Chair, dated the 25th of March 2015 from Advocate Letsolo to Advocate Bimbani to explain why he believed that the Act 70 and these representations meant that he should not prosecute.
Yes, no, that's fine. Let's go there.
So it's the 25th of March 2014, and I'm just going to ask you, Colonel van Loggerenberg, did you then comment on this memorandum?
Chair, we did comment on this memorandum.
I'm sorry. The memorandum was addressed to Advocate Bulelwa Vimpani by Advocate T.A. Letsolo. How did it get to you?
So when I got back to work after sick leave,
Yeah.
the copy was given to Colonel Governor. And
Yes. And then that's how
because
we
this
got
must be filed in the docket, you see.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah.
So you got to see
I
it.
got to see this one.
Yeah. Okay. Continue, Ms. Spencer.
And Chair, with your leave, I propose going through what was said, and then, Chair, if you then have regard to the document on page 106, the complete document, Chair, you'll see that that document, if you look at page 114, it isn't complete, but a complete copy was obtained from the docket. I'm afraid it was only obtained this morning, Chair, and I asked that it be included in the bundle. You will find it at page 308.
First, you said let's go to page 99. Are you saying that the other documents are attachments to the memo at page 99?
Yes, so there's the memo of page 99, and then there is a response which you will see is directed, and if you look at page 106, under inquiries, Colonel van Loggerenberg's name is there, and it's addressed to the Directorate for Priority Crime Investigation. It was directed to General Dramat, and it's the response to what was said by Advocate Letsolo as to the reasons why he was going to withdraw the charges against everybody.
Yes, I think what we need to do is you read this memorandum from Advocate Letsolo at the time, is that right?
That is correct, Chair.
And you have had a chance to refresh your memory on it recently, is that right?
That's right, Chair.
Do you recall what the main reasons he gave for his view that he should not charge the suspects in case number 781? So in other words, I don't want us necessarily to read this. If you are able to say, as I recall, the main reasons were the following: A, B, C, D.
Chair, the main reasons in my view was that the Act 70 was used, information from the Act 70 was used. He listed some cases here in the past where when Act 70 was used in a case and it was known to the defense or whatever the case may be, that's what he told me, egg on his face. And he tried to make out that I was personally going for the provincial commissioner, which is not true, because in his report he said that the only reason why I said that is because what I told him in my meeting when I had with Mr. If you don't want to charge the PC, well, why do you want to charge the others? Out of frustration, I said that. So he was trying to use that to make out that I'm persisting to just charge the PC.
Just on that one, at your meeting where he expressed his reservations about charging or prosecuting the provincial commissioner, did he at some stage talk to you on the basis that there may be a reason to charge the others but not the provincial commissioner?
No, Chair, we went through the evidence of all the others first.
Yes, and he said there was a case.
That there was a case, but and then I said, well, we've done everything, and then I thought, well, we haven't spoken about the TC, the
Yes.
PC. And then he said, well, that's when he told me that it's the reservation.
About reservations, okay, all right. So he was now using that in the memo to say you were going for the PC for some illegitimate reason.
Yeah, personally, yeah.
For personal reasons. Yeah. Okay, all right. Were those the main reasons as far as you can recall?
Yes, Chair, and also other things about the presentations that were made, but I can't comment on what he wrote about the representations because I've never seen them.
Yes, yes.
For me it could be what he, I don't know.
Yes.
I can't comment on that, Chair.
Yes, no, that's fine. Ms. Fenzel, you can highlight some of the reasons that the witness might not have mentioned, which are in the memo, without reading too much.
Yes, thank you, Chair. Firstly, can we have a look what is said in paragraph 3.2 on page 100? It says, it is important to note that at no stage whatsoever was I informed by the investigating officers in this case that there are tape recordings available in this matter. The first time I became aware of this specific issue was as a result of the representations made on behalf of Tosh and Pandey. Furthermore, there is nothing in the docket to suggest or indicate that there was an application made for the authority to permit the police to monitor certain telephone conversations. The nature of the investigations in this matter is straightforward, and there was no need for an application of this nature to be made. Now, firstly, you've said it was not true that he didn't know. Is that correct?
Chair, that is a lie. He knew about it.
That he knew that an application had been made for authority to monitor certain telephone conversations. He knew that, and he also knew that related to threats to your lives.
That's correct, Chair. And also that some of the recordings there was used in 466.
Yes.
He also knew that.
Yes.
He knew that. It was told him from the outset when he joined.
Yes.
And now to say this, he never knew that.
Yes.
It's an absolute lie.
Well, when he says he was not told that there was an application for the authority to permit the police to monitor telephone conversations, or when he says the investigators in this case did not tell him that they were tape recordings, and that he became aware of this specific issue was as a result of representation made on behalf of Mr. Tosh and Pandey. As I understand it, and you must tell me if my understanding is correct, my understanding is that you as the investigators or nobody applied to a judge to obtain permission to monitor these telephone conversations for purposes of pursuing your investigations under 781.
That is correct.
That never happened.
That never happened.
The application to a judge for authority to monitor conversations related to the threats to the lives of the investigators.
That is correct, Chair.
Yes, okay.
And that being said, Colonel van Loggerenberg, was there any reason for the 781, for the monitoring application to be in the docket in case number 781?
No, Chair, no. From the outset, it was known that I'm not going to use Act 70 for 781 because it's not necessary. It's not a murder case, it's a paper trail, it's a commercial case. It's easy. You forensic auditor, corroborate information. Why would I use the Act 70 for what purposes?
Yes, okay.
Then it's also said in paragraph 3, on the 14th of February 2014, I was provided with a copy of representations made on behalf of Tosh and Pandey.
Sorry, which page is that?
Sorry, it's page 100.
Paragraph?
3.
3.
Yes.
Okay.
3.3, isn't it?
So it's 3, and I'm actually going back up to 3 and 3.1. And it says, on the 14th of February, I was provided with a copy of the representations made on behalf of Tosh and Pandey.
Oh, yes.
In those representations, mention is made of the recordings which were played to Tosh and Pandey during a meeting held on the 18th of September 2011 at KwaZulu-Natal SAPS Provincial Headquarters in General Dina Moodley's office, and in the presence of General Dina Moodley upon his instructions. The recordings consisted of recorded telephone conversations Tosh and Pandey had with various people, including, amongst others, the KwaZulu-Natal Provincial Commissioner and Tosh and Pandey's attorney. Now, you mentioned earlier that it is later, and I will take you to it, averred, Chair, that this is one of the reasons, it is another ground that was given by the advocate for not pursuing the matter and proceeding with the prosecutions was that there was this breach of attorney and client privilege, and Tosh and Pandey had been told that they knew what his defense was.
Chair, first of all, we did not see the representation, so the correctness of what is written here, I'm not aware of, but my comment on what is written here is that Tosh and Pandey at that stage could not have known what the charges is going to be against him. There's no draft charge sheet. How can he, at this point in time, or Tosh and Pandey allege that everybody knew, according to the recordings which the presentation was made to him, now they can say that now we know what your defense is. That is nonsense. Nobody knows even what the charge is going to be at the end of the day. How are we going to know what your defense is?
Well, isn't the position that if he knew what was being investigated, namely that he paid money to the provincial commissioner, he paid for the birthday party of the provincial commissioner's husband, he may have been able to have an idea what the possible charge could be, even if it had not been formally drafted, that maybe it would be corruption.
I agree, Chair, that the person would have an idea what he's going to be charged with, but it's just an idea. I mean, to work out an idea, and he hasn't received, or it hasn't been served the charge sheet, the indictment, then I'm surely only when you receive the indictment, then you are actually aware exactly how to work your defense out and how you're going to handle this case in the first place. But by trying to say that the ideas, I know what you're going to charge me for, and so the idea of, I can't get that together, that we know what his defense can be at that point in time, because there was no indictment at that time.
Well, if he knew that whatever the charge is, it revolved around either bribery or corruption, maybe, corruption arising out of the fact that he gave money to the provincial commissioner, he could think of what explanation he would give for why he gave that money. And that explanation that he could think of could be a defense to say, there was nothing wrong with that money, she owed me a certain amount, I can prove it, or I owed her a certain amount, I can prove it, I was just refunding her. So from that perspective, maybe it's possible.
I agree with you, it's possible, Chief, from that perspective, yes, but that's just the way I
that's how you saw it, yeah.
That's how I saw it, yes.
All right.
Thank you. Now, if we can go back to your affidavit.
Well, I thought you were going to refer to another document where I believed you were saying this witness responded to the points made.
Yes, I did, Chair. So if you just bear with me, I'm
let's
going to
cover
get
that before you go back to the affidavit.
I'll do that, yes. Sorry, Chair, if you'll just bear with me, I just need to find my place and just my reference.
There's a document at page 106, and then I think you had referred to page 114 at some stage. I don't know whether that's the end of that document.
And that was, I was trying to explain to you, Chair, before we went back, is there is this document which is annexed to the affidavit as Annexure JVL 6, and it is, which the witness has said, was the response to the averments that were made by Advocate Litsolo.
Yes, but what I'm saying is...
Now, this is incomplete, and you can see that it doesn't end. So I asked that we obtain a complete copy, and that was obtained this morning, Chair, from the actual docket, and you will find that document and as an additional document which has been placed into your bundle, Chair, and it's
let's talk
at
about,
page 308.
hang on. Let's talk about what needs to be done. Then we can
Yes.
look for the documents in the bundle.
Yes,
If the witness prepared a document that was in effect a response to Advocate Letswalo's memo that we have just dealt with, we need to deal with that document.
Yes.
The witness needs to confirm that
yes,
that's his document, and then he needs to, or you need to take him to the main points he makes in the
Yes.
document.
Yes, I intend to
Even
do
if we
that.
don't go through everything.
yes, I intend to do that.
Yeah.
Could you have a look at the document on page 308?
Yes, Chair.
I think I've in the past asked that the legal team should tell the people who paginate bundles not to write on top of the red page numbers. You see now on some of the pages you look and you can't see what the red number is because they've written something else on top of it.
Yes, Chair, I think, to be fair to them, that what has happened is that these documents have been taken out of the docket and they're paginated in the docket or in matters before court. They are paginated. They
But the
are
red pagination
scanned.
is ours, isn't it?
The red is ours, and that then ends up going on top, but one can't see it.
No. Or is it the red that is on top of the black?
I believe so.
But then whoever it is it not the same people? They must just make sure, then they put, ones who put the red numbers should just make sure that they are not put together with something else, because then we can't see what the page number is. I think I had asked that they should do that in the past.
Yes,
so
and I
somebody can repeat that to them.
Yes, Chair. Well, and I'm having exactly the same difficulty as you. I often have to look at the following page to see
Yeah.
what this page number is.
It
does make it very difficult.
It's common sense. You know.
Yes, and I'll take it up with them.
Yeah, okay.
Could you have a look at page 316?
316.
Yes.
Yes, Chair.
Is that your signature?
That is correct, Chair.
And is this a response that you compiled to the reasons provided by Advocate Letsolo why he was not going to pursue 781?
Yes, Chair, I was the author, but it was done with Colonel Governor and Colonel Philip Harris. We all sat together and came to this.
Okay. Tell us what the main points are that you put in this memo to express your views about Advocate Letswalo's memo.
Chief, I can recall is that I think we mentioned that there was no representation was given to us in the first place, and also that
If you say the points that you already told me earlier on, why you were disagreeing with Advocate Swallow, are also included here. You can just confirm that. If there are others that you didn't mention earlier, which are in the memo, just tell me those.
Chair, what I've mentioned earlier is in the memo here about The meetings, should we just go through here? About the representations, about the Act 70.
Well, Ms. Johnson, you can assist him.
Yes, I will
If it's
assist.
something in the memo, because
Yes,
it's
I
not like
will
you're telling
assist.
him something that
Yes.
he is not in the document. This is
Yes.
his document.
Yes, it is.
You can highlight, get him to confirm the main points.
Well, if one has first, you deal with what is, he says in paragraph 2 on page 99, you can, so just keep your finger there, yes, at the other one, and then look at page 2, paragraph 2 on page 99. You need to give me the paginated numbers of the
Did you say page 99? Did you say page 99?
Nine?
Why are we going to page 99 now?
Because I just want to show you, Chair, I'll tell you why we're going to page 99, is the difficulty that I have now, and perhaps I can resolve this over the lunch break, is that because we only obtained the complete copy of this document later, early this morning, I worked on the incomplete document that is at page 99. So all my notes are there. I then said to you, we have obtained the signed copy, which we now know is at page 308. But for me, it might be of assistance if we could still work on the document at page 99, because that's where I have my notes.
That will be confusing. Okay.
If it's confusing, perhaps in the lunch break, what I'll do.
Yeah, use the lunch break so that you use the correct document.
Yes.
Okay, maybe we should adjourn now.
Perhaps we can adjourn, and that can
so
assist
that
me.
you don't skip to another issue before we deal with this one.
Yes, I would appreciate that.
Okay, we are going to take the lunch adjournment and we'll resume at 2 o'clock. We adjourn.
Thank you.
All rise.